that boxing podcast could be a whole other thing. Like literally just you and I, like.
Give me the update. Have you been, because let's just do a bonus podcast here real quick, because this might be like a pilot episode, right?
I love it.
You are definitely, well, like everybody, you're a self-proclaimed boxing expert.
If people want to say that, yes, I'm someone that loves the sport, still loves the sport.
Well, you have opinions. No, but I mean, but let's be honest. You have opinions and you think you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So my question is, let's just go last 10 years, last decade. Have you been proven right? Just whether it be your private thoughts, public statements you've made. What's your record right now?
I think it's pretty good. Years ago, I said that American Olympic boxing was going to become meaningless because we favor knockouts in this country, whereas the Olympic style is all about touch and scoring points. So basically, you have a lot of people when they're coming up, they're not training to fight as amateurs in the States. They are fighting to knock people out. Hence, we don't have as many gold medalists. Hence, that currency has dropped.
Which seems funny because I didn't know anyone was talking about Olympic boxing, so that's just funny and just. I mean, that's like saying, look, I think there's going to be a decline in softball participation.
Okay, wait a minute. One other prediction that I said.
By the way, that's softball every 4 years. I mean,
I predicted the European takeover, like the Eastern European sort of takeover of boxing, and today one of the biggest fights is happening that I've given my prediction on. Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev. It's happening on ESPN Plus.
Which I'm going to argue, much like my sport, the UFC, I can't pronounce every champion's last name now. It's Ameda and it seems to me it's the same as boxing, that someone just went to the most like deprived country and found the most savages and said, and I mean this with all due respect, that little thing you're doing for fun when you're not like herding goats. In America, you'll destroy people and they'll give you millions, right? And they just started taking people, and it seems like the American spirit that used to exist like in the 50s and 60s, you see those videos of like junior high kids like climbing ropes and stuff, and there's not like apparently there's like 3 countries left
that are still doing that,
right? With like boys like that, right? And they're just coming over here. And they're just, is this kind of what's happening in boxing, that you just have these savages coming over who are so disciplined?
Well, I spoke with a guy who is a trainer. His name is Mike, years ago about this. And he said the difference between the American system and many of the other systems is, and this is also why you see those guys in UFC and you see the guys in boxing, they are fighting for championships and they maybe only have 3 or 4 fights. It's because they have been vetted through a system that, in his words, does not F around. Like it starts off sink or swim, and they find out who you are, and that doesn't mean that you don't.
It's like Sparta stuff. They're throwing babies like off the cliff into the water, and it's like if you don't compete, your family's not going to eat. Like it's
they put a piece of bread and they put a boxing glove. If the baby crawls to the boxing glove, it survives. If it crawls to the bread, it gets kicked out.
Okay, so point of connection there. Now, I would never have thought that I would be watching boxing pay-per-view events. Obviously, the UFC fighters post-career kind of got me over to boxing because I kind of wanted to see, because these guys were so good at boxing in the UFC, and we all knew they were like the greatest boxers in the world. And if they went over into boxing, they would be, and they look horrible. And then they go over to boxing and they look horrible.
Yeah.
Like just like Nate Diaz was going to be the boxer, like, because he was so good. You had to box him in the UFC because you couldn't take him down. He had jiu-jitsu, and then he just peppered you with hundreds and hundreds. And he gets into a boxing match, and it's not that he didn't win or do. They just looked horrible.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you where everything absolutely. I don't know where I've landed on this yet, because when Francis goes and fights who I believe was the greatest boxer of all time, arguably close to his prime, meaning I don't know what the new prime is,
Right.
but Tyson Fury
Yep.
appeared to be the greatest boxer ever.
For that size, to be able to do what he does is
Right.
amazing.
Who cares about any
It is
other weight?
amazing.
Who cares about any other weight? Come on, let's be honest.
Right.
I mean, that's the king. That's the king. I mean, I know you boxing. That's like me watching Demetrius Johnson at like 104 pounds. The UFC. I go, yeah, he's the best. But like, these are the kings. These are this is Muhammad Ali. I mean, these things we talk about. That was Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
And I think at the very least, it was a draw.
He got.
How the heck did Francis Ngannou fight the greatest boxer of all time to a draw? Evan, I truly need you to inform me here.
Okay, well, the simple answer, which I don't think tells the whole story, is Tyson Fury didn't take it seriously. But at the same time, that doesn't make a lot of sense, because when you know how to fight and you know how to box, you can beat someone very easily who doesn't have that same skill set.
Right. Yes.
And I mean, truthfully, Darren, you would think Tyson Fury, even a compromised Tyson Fury, would not have struggled the way that he did, because Anthony Joshua goes and fights Francis Ngannou and dusts him. But then you also just had Anthony Joshua, very flawed heavyweight, just get blitzed in 5 rounds by Daniel Dubois.
Yeah.
So my thought is this, and I think it comes down to psychology, because I think Tyson Fury got into that fight and realized he had something in front of him that he did not expect.
It's different, right? I mean, there's something about boxing. When you're brought up boxing, you can figure people out how to beat them because they're playing by a certain set of rules.
Yep.
And Francis, it's the unorthodox, it's the southpaw, it's that throws fighters off. And this is a different kind of monster potentially throwing you off.
And Conor McGregor, for I think at least a round or two, had a little bit of that against Floyd Mayweather. It's just Floyd Mayweather was in shape. Floyd Mayweather. But yeah, and then compound that with, so everything that you just said. What do I have in front of me? What's going on here? And Tyson isn't a knockout puncher in the way that Anthony Joshua is. So then you throw into Tyson Fury gets dropped. So not only does he not know what's happening, suddenly he gets dropped. It's all going wrong for him. So
right. It's defense.
Yeah, right.